First of all, I'm not your friend, and secondly, I'll never work with you, replied Urian firmly. He walked on, but then stopped suddenly. Fine, just this one time. Additionally, we'll have to ask Novan to help us. His space magic is the most powerful, Krasus said, catching up with him. Now, they were walking side by side. Other magic casters' jaws would drop if they saw this. Do you think they can do it, Father? Amy asked. Don't worry. They are the two most powerful magic casters, Mag said as he watched them walk into Urian's shop. Even he had become a little expectant. Mobai's forge is not open today. Mag muttered. No wonder I didn't see him. The crowd outside was gone, but not the gossip about Mag's restaurant. The stories might differ from one another, but the theme was the same: never look for trouble in Mamie restaurant. These are some great quality tables and chairs, boss. Not even one has been damaged. Only the door is gone. Do you want me to find a carpenter for you? Yabimiya asked. By then, Sally had cleaned up the whole restaurant. No, that won't be necessary. You and Aisha can go home now. Come back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Sorry you had to witness that. It's all right. You caught the bad guys. You and Amy just did what you had to do. I wish I were strong, said Yabimiya. But you're strong, Mia, Sally said, and nimble. If you start practicing swordplay now, I'm sure you'll be pretty good in a half year or so. Really? Yabimiya asked, excited. Skinny as she might be, she was strong enough to wield a heavy sword, and she could become even stronger when her tail came out. Sally nodded. Yes. But no one would teach me even if I wanted to learn, and I like to work here. If I had to choose between learning swordplay and working here, I would surely pick the latter. I would do the same if I were you, said Sally. Mag was very happy to hear that. Yabimiya glanced around to make sure everything was in place and tidy. Then, she and Sally waved goodbye to Mag and Amy. Amy waved back. Bye, Sister Mia, Sister Aisha. We'll dance. Spring is here tomorrow. Mag watched them leave, and then looked at Ugly Duckling that was staring at him with a sad face. Are you hungry? Meow, meow, it responded excitedly. I think it has had enough to eat, Amy said in a sleepy voice. Meow. Ugly Duckling shook its head vigorously. Give it a couple more dried fish, Amy. It needs enough food to grow. Okay, Father, but it has to run 5 more laps tonight. Meow, the kitten cried, dropping to the ground in dismay. Mag fed the kitten, took them upstairs, and put them to bed. He went back downstairs and walked out to make sure no one was around. You can install the door now, system. Installation fee, 1 gold coin. Mag lifted an eyebrow. Installation fee. Are you seriously stooping so low as to charge installation fee? After a little haggling and bargaining, he managed to get the system to install the door for 10 copper coins. When Mag was about to lock the door after checking it, 2 men in red vests appeared. Good afternoon, one of them said. We're with the Aden Square Catering Association. This month's food competition is starting soon. Do you want to sign up? Food competition? Sorry, I'm not interested, Mag said, and closed the door. Arvin and Root exchanged a surprised glance. Normally, a freshly opened restaurant would never turn down a chance to get popular, no matter how slim it might be. Let's go, Root. This guy is pretty smart. He knows he won't be able to make it into the top 100. We won't be able to make any money from him, Arvin said unhappily. Look at the size of this crystal glass. Root said, pointing. This guy must be very wealthy. Mag was indeed not interested in the food competition, because more often than not the best foods won the competition. Some of the nicest restaurants might be lying in corners, waiting for keen-eyed customers. Besides, his restaurant was already busy enough for him to work his A*s off every day, so there was no point for him to compete in the competition. New mission, the system called out suddenly. At least one of your dishes has to make it into the top 30 in this month's Aiden Square food competition. Completing the mission will get you the recipe for Häagen-Dazs ice creams. You'll be fined 10,000 gold coins if you fail. Mag stopped, rooted to the spot. Only you can come up with such a dirty way to make money. He quickly pulled the door open again. Hey, please hold on a moment. I think I'll sign up, he said, abashed. Arvin and Rude turned around. You want to sign up for the competition, sir? Rude asked. Mag nodded. Yes. What do I have to do? I don't want to, the damned system made me. He found the Häagen-Dazs ice creams appealing, though. Amy will like them, she'll look even cuter eating them. Mag was very confident. He didn't believe anyone in the Aiden Square was a better cook than him. The top 3 spots would be all mine if they considered the taste alone. Arvin and Rude were around 40, of average build with love handles. Mag saw a wok and a ladle embroidered on their fronts, and on their backs the words, Aiden Square Catering Association. 5 gold coins get you in. The voting starts tomorrow and lasts for 10 days, Arvin said, writing down the restaurant's name in his notebook. Then he held out a hand, asking for money. A name will cost me 5 gold coins. Mag asked, wary. Rude smiled. Yes. Mag hesitated a moment, pulled 5 gold coins out of his pocket, and handed them to Arvin. The revenue from registration fees alone is handsome. And they do this every month. Thank you. These are the ballots, Rude said, pulling out 2 stacks of paper ballots, each one 5 cm wide and 10 cm long from his bag. With anti-counterfeiting magic marks. One stack has 100 ballots, and one ballot is 1 copper coin. How many ballots do you need? Mag's eyebrow rose in surprise. The people here sure know how to make money. If anyone wants to make it into the top 10, they'll have to spend tens of thousands of copper coins on ballots first. If I want to enter the top 30, how many ballots do I need? Mag asked. Rude was surprised. The restaurants that have made the top 30 are all at least 3 years old. They are larger, and most of them are members of the Chamber of Commerce. No way this newly opened restaurant is going to enter the top 30. If your dishes are expensive, you may need 2 or 3,000. If they are as cheap as green onion bing, which is 5 copper coins each, you may need at least 10,000 to make the top 100. Then I'll buy 2,000 ballots, Mag said after thinking for a moment. Rude was taken by surprise. 2,000 ballots. It's too many for a newly opened restaurant. Mag nodded. Yes. 2,000 ballots can last only a few days. He was even more confident now that he had learned the prices were also a factor. He believed his dishes were the most expensive. A couple thousand copper coins for the Häagen-Dazs ice creams recipe. That's a great deal. I like Häagen-Dazs ice creams too, Mag thought. You cannot return them once you buy them, just so you know, Rude said seriously. And the anti-counterfeiting magic mark will only work for 15 days. You can buy more ballots at a polling station. Mag nodded. Come on in. I'll get the money for you. He may be wealthy, but he's stupid, Arvin said once he was sure Mag couldn't hear them. Not so loud. He might hear you. I'm just glad that today's job is done, Rude said in a low voice, excited. When they walked inside, they were amazed. Everything about this restaurant was just extraordinary: the crystal chandeliers, log tables and chairs, and paintings on the wall. Many restaurants though they had been to, they had never seen one like this, fancy yet comfortable. They liked it more than those luxurious, large ones. They believed it would become popular in no time. Mag handed the money to Rude. There you go. 2 dragon coins. Thank you, said Rude, and took the money. I need you to give me the names of 5 of your dishes. Customers can rate the 5 dishes in one ballot. 5. Mag looked hesitant. Yeah, only 5. Your 5 best-selling dishes, said Arvin. Add braised chicken and rice to the menu, system 800 copper coins each. The rice is 50 copper coins each, Mag said to the system. That will be 20 copper coins, the system replied. And it's done. Mag picked up the menu on a table, opened it, and handed it to Rude. You'll find the names in this menu. The sweet tofu pudding and savory tofu pudding are 2 dishes. Only 5 dishes. Rude blurted out in surprise. The prices are wrong, I think, Arvin said, wide-eyed. Even Dukas Restaurant's whole roast lamb, the first on the list, is only 2,500 copper coins each. These prices are ridiculous. Now, they thought the restaurant would never be popular. No. They're not, Mag said. Okay, Rude said, and started writing down the names and prices in his notebook. The sweet tofu pudding and savory tofu pudding are 1 dish. No, I can assure you they're 2, Mag replied. As you say, sir. When he was finished, Rude gave the ballots to Mag and left with his partner. After they walked out, Arvin glanced back at the restaurant. He is either stupid or overconfident, he said softly. Rude nodded. Agreed. I think he only needs 10 ballots. With Sally working here, we should be able to serve several hundreds of customers each day, Mag thought. These ballots will only last 3 or 4 days. I will be more productive when I get stronger, and then I may need to enlarge the restaurant. System, what's the purpose of this mission? Mag asked. We're already busy enough. For a man of the world, you're strangely short-sighted. Get ambitious and conquer this continent. Mag rolled his eyes in disapproval. Conquer this continent? Are you crazy? I just want to cook. Lord Ingw, I believe Lady Sally is working as a waitress in that restaurant, but she's still working and staying here, said a young elf in a black robe in an alley near Gaya Hotel. Ingw nodded, reflective. After a moment, he said, tell me about the hotel and the restaurant. The hotel has been owned by a woman for a dozen years. Her husband went missing on a quest 10 years ago, and was presumed dead. The restaurant has been open for less than a month. The owner is a human male. He has 2 waitresses, one is Lady Sally, and the other is a half-dragon. Also, he has a half-elf daughter, who has become the disciple of 2 powerful magic casters. I heard she has great talent for magic. Ingw lifted an eyebrow and turned to face the young elf. Do you know the names of the 2 magic casters? The Lord of Ice and the Lord of Fire, he answered. Ingw's eyes went wide. He was hundreds of years older than Krasua and Urian, but he was only a 7th-tier magic caster. They fought for nearly a century, and now they're teaching the same student? The 2 old men have keen eyes. I remember they wanted to make Princess Irina their disciple, and she became a 10th-tier magic caster at the young age of 26. This half-elf girl must be really talented for them to be willing to teach her together. Where is this restaurant? Ingw asked. The young elf had never seen Ingw looking like this before. In the western corner of the Aiden Square, he answered quickly. You keep watching Lady Sally and keep her safe, Ingw said earnestly. Do not let her see you. If she sees you, leave and do not approach. The young elf nodded. Yes, my lord. He drew a circle around him with his magic wand, and then a green light rose around him. He disappeared suddenly. Bluer will be here in a few days. Ingw took another glance at the hotel and left. I could conquer this continent's stomach if it had one, Mag said, but how can I ever conquer such a huge continent? It's not like the people here are mentally retarded. You'll have to lower their IQs first. I'm not allowed to do that even if I could. The world would be paralyzed, it would cause disastrous consequences. Then why do you think I can conquer this world? Mag asked with a twist of his mouth. People live to eat. They will look up to you as their god once you conquer their stomachs. Mag laughed. Yeah, they would if they were as stupid as you. Anyway, dream big, young man. Anything is possible. I'm too old to dream big, Mag said, and locked the door. But I'm not too old to have some fun. It may be interesting to watch dragons, trolls, goblins, orcs, and elves eat together. Mag went into the kitchen and poured himself a glass of water. The reward is the recipe for Haagen-Dazs ice creams, but I don't remember criticizing ice creams. When Mag was about to go upstairs to take a nap, there came a knock on his door. We are not open today, Mag said. It's Heidel, the dean of the mechanical school and the chaos school. Sorry to bother you, but can I talk to you for a minute? Mag opened the door and recognized the balding man with a briefcase under his arm. He studied my bike the other day. I saw your bike a couple days ago, and it has really intrigued me, Heidel said with a smile. You see, we're trying to use steam to power machinery, but we hit a bottleneck. Mag was surprised. Steam engine? The invention of steam engine will bring about an industrial revolution. Come on in, Mag said, smiling. Maybe I could witness the birth of a new era. Please take a seat. I'm also quite interested in this kind of stuff. Mag went into the kitchen, poured a glass of water for him, and sat opposite him. Mag was very familiar with steam engine. His bachelor's thesis had been about the improvement on two-stroke engines. He had proven in theory that the improvement would be able to raise the engine efficiency by 3%. Although it had been impossible in practice, his thesis had resulted in him becoming one of the outstanding graduates. It had been the only thing that he had put his heart and soul into during the 4 years in university. He had carefully studied the steam engine, the internal combustion engine, and the steam turbine. Of course, he couldn't make one himself, but he was still able to draw a detailed engine diagram. In other words, he could make one with the help of a masterful blacksmith. He would surely go down in history if he made one, but he didn't want to be remembered. He was curious about the mechanical level in this world, though. Heidel opened his briefcase, took out several pieces of paper, and put them on the table. After years of experimenting, we have finally managed to convert the thermal energy of steam into kinetic energy. The produced kinetic energy is not stable, but we have some ideas to stabilize it. The only problem right now is how to use this energy. Mag took a look at the diagrams on the pieces of paper. Impressive, he said, looking at Heidel with respect. Mag really admired scientists, and believed they were the ones who were accelerating the pace of technological development. This man before him was unmistakably one of them. The one-cylinder engine on these pieces of paper was crude, but it was theoretically doable. They had really managed to convert the thermal energy of steam into kinetic energy, but they still had a long way to go before using the engine in everyday life. Nonetheless, it was impressive in this world of sword and magic. Thank you, Heidel said. Few people appreciated their effort. Most criticized them while envying their high salaries. No one knew the pressure hanging over them. No one knew some of them were even using their own money to do experiments. Heidel and his wife were still living in the free housing provided by the Chaos School. He walked to school every day to save on carriage fares. His wife could understand him, but not his 2 children, who came home only once a year. But why are you doing this? Mag asked. After 100 years of peace, commerce is developing fast. Although businessmen can hire magic casters to do hard labor, they're very expensive. There's an urgent demand for machinery to take the place of manual workers. Mag nodded. I see. Steam engines will surely change this world. But, judging from his drawings, a proper steam engine won't be invented anytime soon. Mag's eyes lit up as a thought occurred to him. Can I sell him a steam engine diagram, system? Absolutely not, the system answered. You would change this world's course dramatically. It will result in many unpredictable consequences, so immediately cease and desist. I know you want to sell it to me too, Mag said calmly. No. I would never do anything that may throw this world into chaos. An industrial revolution is inevitable even if we do nothing. If I gave the diagram to him, I'd save them a lot of time and trouble. What would you know? Ever heard of the butterfly effect? If I sold it at 50,000 gold coins, I'd upgrade the restaurant right away. The system fell silent. No, it said after a while. If you don't let me sell it, I'll never update the restaurant. The only way I will let you sell it is if we split the money 80/20. Me 80. I'll provide the diagram. Mag's mouth twisted in disapproval. I can draw a detailed diagram from my memory. I don't need yours. Why would I split the money with you? The system gave out noise and anger abruptly. I want you to join us, Heidel said earnestly, and help us out with the energy transmitting problem. Mag held back his urge to draw a steam engine diagram. It would be too mean of me to draw a diagram that would make their years of effort look like a joke. He shook his head. I'm afraid I can't join you. I'm just a cook, and a busy one. At the last minute, Mag decided not to give him the diagram, even if he might have paid him tens of thousands of gold coins, because it was worth a lot more than that. He liked Heidel, but he liked money better. He needed it to buy strength. I'm a businessman, Mag told himself, a capitalist pig that only cares about profit. I'd be better off if I sold it to the Lord of Chaos City or the Lord of the Grey Temple. They would be far more generous than Heidel. Okay, Heidel said, disappointed, but soon wore a look of excitement as he looked at Mag and asked, can you please give me some advice on the energy transmitting problem? Mag looked at his imploring eyes, hesitated a moment, and said, straight motions that go back and forth typically cannot be used in production. Perhaps by adding gears and relying on their rotations for transmissions, it can reduce the expenditure wastage. Through a combination of different types of gears, it can turn a uniform back and forth operation into various kinds of motions. It will be able to meet the requirements for production. I will try when I have time, Mag said, suddenly ashamed of his greedy self. If I told the Lord of Chaos City I invented the steam engine myself, it would be suspicious. But if I said I worked with Heidel, that would be believable enough. Mag showed Heidel out. When he walked back inside, out of the corner of his eye, he saw a white-bearded old elf standing at a distance. He thought he was watching him. Maybe he's gazing at my restaurant, Mag thought, and locked the door. When he peeked through the shades, the old elf was gone. Mag didn't take this weird matter to heart. I don't think anyone would believe that Mag Alex has become the owner of a restaurant. Mag put the steam engine on the back burner. He walked into the kitchen, and opened the fridge. The fire chicken I captured will last me and Amy several more days, but it's taking up too much space. Then he closed the fridge, and went upstairs to take a nap. He made braised chicken and rice for dinner too, just as Amy asked. He gave the kitten some boneless chicken and some rice with soup, and it liked the food very much. There was still some braised chicken and rice left when they had finished eating. Can you give the rest to me, Father? Amy asked. Mag smiled. But you've already eaten 2 bowls of rice. You've had enough to eat. It's not for me. I want to give it to Jessica. She always saves her food for her mother. Amy paused a moment. And I want to give some to Charles and Derek and other friends, Mag smiled and stroked her hair. You're so kind, Amy. How many friends do you have? I'll cook 1 braised chicken and rice for each of them and 2 for Jessica. But only this one time. Amy nodded and kissed Mag on the cheek. Thank you, Father. I have 20 friends. Okay. Go play with Ugly Duckling. It will take a while. Mag found himself feeling a little regretful as he walked to the fridge, but he could never turn Amy down. I want to protect her kindness and smile. He could make a lot of money every day, but the strength he wanted to buy was very expensive. He never thought of himself as a philanthropist, he only cared about Amy. Mag cooked 22 braised chickens. He boxed the chicken and rice up, and put them in 2 large bags. "Let's go, Amy," Mag said, holding one bag in each hand. "Can you wait a moment, father? I want to change my clothes." Mag nodded. "Okay. Maybe she wants to dress beautifully before her friends." Amy ran upstairs on her short legs. After a while, she came back down in a plain yellow flowered dress. Mag was surprised. "Why don't you wear the purple one? It's your favorite." "Jessica likes yellow dresses, so I think she'll like to see me wearing this. I haven't seen such a beautiful and pure friendship in years," Mag thought. They locked the door and walked towards the center of the Aiden Square, Mag holding 2 bags, Amy holding Ugly Duckling. After a dozen minutes, they arrived at a place with several benches. Many kids were sitting there, checking the things they had scavenged. "Amy," a girl exclaimed in surprise, getting quickly to her feet. She was an adorable girl around 5, her face clean, her black eyes clear and sparkling, and her hair short. She was half a head taller than Amy. It looked like her mother had altered her dress to fit her daughter, it was covered with patches. She was very happy to see Amy, and started running towards her. "Jessica!" Amy called, and ran to meet her. But the girl stopped before she could throw her arms around Amy. She looked at Amy's dress with surprise. "Why didn't you give me a hug, Jessica?" Amy asked. "Because you're wearing a beautiful dress today, I don't want to dirty it." She grinned, her central incisors still unerupted. Then she saw the kitten, and her eyes went wide. "Such a cute orange cat. It's actually a duck, it came out of an egg." "It did? But it doesn't look like a duck," Jessica said, confused. "Anyway, can I hold it?" "Meow!" Ugly Duckling cried, raising a paw as if saying no. Amy nodded. "Sure." Then she looked down at the kitten. "This is my friend Jessica, Ugly Duckling. Behave, or you'll have to run 5 more laps tonight." "Meow." It was resigned, and let Jessica hold it with its head down in sadness. "It's so cute," Jessica said as she petted it. By then, other children had seen Amy as well. "Amy! Amy!" They greeted her, and some trotted curiously to Jessica to look at the cat. Amy greeted them back, calling each by their nickname. Mag's lips curved in a smile. She's pretty popular among them, and she's really into nicknaming people. The kids' ages seemed to vary from 4 to 9. Their clothes were ragged, like the ones Amy had worn when he first saw her. The girl who was named Jessica looked very mature for her age and was the closest to Amy. "Amy said you're all her friends, so we brought something for you to eat," Mag said with a smile. "Now, who's hungry?" "Me," they cried together, excited. "This is my father, Jessica. He made you each a braised chicken and rice," Amy whispered to her. "And he made one for your mother too." "Your father?" Jessica glanced up at Mag, envious. Then she turned to Amy and smiled. "Thank you, Amy. You're always good to me." Mag smiled and went up to the benches. "Come on, kids." He took out the food, put them on the benches, and opened the lids. The delectable smell poured out and made the kids' mouths water. They didn't approach the food, though. Mag counted 19 kids, there were 3 boxes of braised chicken and 3 boxes of rice left. "Go on, eat," he said to them, smiling. They glanced at each other, and no one moved. Amy took Jessica by the hand, led her to a braised chicken, and took the kitten from her. "Try it, Jessica. I'm sure you'll like it." Jessica looked up at Mag. "Thank you, sir." She picked up a piece of chicken and took a bite. Her eyes lit up. "It's so good." She didn't know how to describe this taste, but she had never had anything half as delicious as this before. Jessica swallowed, trying to hold back her happy tears. She took another bite. "What's wrong, Jessica?" "Don't cry," Amy said, wiping her tears away. "I can't help it, the food makes me cry," she said, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Odd kid." Mag smiled and took her crying as a compliment. The other kids stopped hesitating, walked over to the food, and started eating. "It's really good. Your father is amazing, Amy. It's so good it makes me want to cry too. Add some soup into the moonlight rice, Jessica, and it will become even tastier," Amy whispered. Jessica's eyes went wide when she looked at the rice. There are little moons in the rice grains. The kids' blissful faces brought a smile to Mag's lips. "Maybe I should do this more often when I have much more money to spare." "Is that Mag?" Luna whispered from a distance, with a big bag in her hand. Moraton Manor was located in the northwestern corner of Chaos City. It was large, with luxurious yet somehow grim grey and white buildings. The lamps had just been lit. Servants were coming and going with soft footfalls expressionlessly, never as much as exchanging glances. In a grand hall, a dozen well-dressed people sat at a large rosewood table. There were a plate of steak and a plate of caviar in front of them each. They kept their hands on their laps. No one spoke, the atmosphere was oppressive. A crystal oil lamp lit up the whole hall. Several servants were standing grimly there, awaiting orders. Geoffrey was sitting at the head of the table. He looked past his wife, Den's Marquis, and at his second son, Cyril, whose head was a little lowered. Then he looked past Cyril's wife, and at his first son, Lance, who was sitting straight. Even his willful firstborn didn't dare to meet his eyes. Geoffrey frowned. He looked past his grandson, Mickey, and at the girl sitting far from him in a veil. "Take that off. We Moritons are no cowards." They all looked to the girl. "Maybe she doesn't like us staring at her pretty face," Herty said derisively. She was a pretty girl of around 16, wearing heavy makeup. "Yet she's so beautiful," agreed Herty's twin sister, Hernie, staring at Gloria. They looked almost identical. "I heard she would become one of the most beautiful girls in the city," Aurora said, her mouth twisting in a disdainful smile. Her red lipstick made her thickly powdered face even paler. She had too many wrinkles for a woman of 30. Gloria curled her hands into fists wordlessly. The benign-looking woman sitting next to her looked anxious. Her mouth opened, and then closed slowly. "Father, you should let her do as she wants," Lance said defiantly, raising his eyes to Geoffrey. "Let her do as she wants?" Geoffrey snorted. He leaned forward and raised his voice. "I let you do as you wanted, and look how that turned out. ***ing teacher. You brought disgrace on our family." He paused a moment. "Women should always do as men want. They're men's accessories. If they can find someone to marry, that is." Cyril took a look at Lance, sneered, and bowed his head again like a biddable child. Aurora, Herty, and Herna looked at Gloria gloatingly as if she were the only woman in the room. Lance rose to his feet. "There's nothing disgraceful about my job. I love teaching. I chose to become a teacher of my own accord." Then he took a glance at Gloria, and raised his voice. "Women are not men's accessories. They can do what we can do. I may be a fool to you, but it is fools like me that will change the world." Gloria looked up at her father, who had renounced his title as the heir of Geoffrey, and suddenly found him admirable. Geoffrey laughed. "You must be out of your mind." He leaned back in his chair, staring at his firstborn, whom he had once put all his faith in disappointment. "You couldn't have changed the state of your daughter's illness if you hadn't been born into Moraton family." "You're making father mad, Lance," Cyril said disapprovingly. Lance gritted his teeth, and bit back his words. He stood there for a moment, and then sat back down weakly. Gloria's hands were shaking. She looked as if she would stand up any minute now. Mickey held her hand and shook his head. Although aged just 10, he could tell his grandpa was very angry. He didn't want to see Gloria scolded. Jeffrey dropped his gaze to his food, and picked up the knife and fork. The world will never change. The wealthy will stay wealthy, and women will stay useless, he said, his voice low but filled with certainty. The others' faces lightened with relief, they picked up their knife and fork as well. Suddenly, Gloria rose to her feet. I agree with Father, Grandpa. Women are not useless. I'll prove it to you someday, she said in a determined voice. The others froze, shocked. They had never thought such a meek girl would dare to stand up to Jeffrey. Lance turned to look at Gloria as if he were seeing her for the first time. If you'll excuse me. I'm not hungry, Gloria said, and left quickly. The hall fell deathly quiet. Mickey watched Gloria leave and wanted to follow her, but the benign-looking woman held him down and shook her head. She looked both worried and relieved. The looks on the others' faces were diverse, but most of them were gloating. They couldn't wait to see severe punishment befall Lance and his family. Jeffrey looked surprised, yet was strangely not angry. He looked at the Gloria's seat, and then started cutting his steak. Eat. Father, Gloria is Aurora started. I'd feel more comfortable if you wore a veil over your hideous face instead of applying a thick layer of face powder, Jeffrey said coldly. He forked a piece of medium steak into his mouth. If I ever catch you using those magic drugs again, I'll disown you. Do you understand? Yes, Father, Aurora answered quickly, and lowered her head. Women will never amount to anything, Jeffrey thought, eating. Only an old fool like Ian would let a woman head his family business. It's the first time Gloria has defied me, she looks so much like her father. In the garden in Moreton Manor, Gloria was crouching by the pond, watching fish swim. If I keep on eating that tofu pudding, I think my freckles will heal. But what do I do then, she whispered. What is Mag doing here? Luna wondered, looking at his back. She walked a little closer, and saw the children eating with blissful smiles. Mag brought something for them to eat. Then she noticed Amy, and suddenly understood. It must have been her idea, she's always so kind. Considering the prices, Mag is so generous, Luna thought. Amy turned around and saw Luna. Teacher Luna, she called, waving her hand. The other children stopped eating, and stood up quickly to greet Luna. Mag turned around and was surprised to see her here, but when he saw the big bag, he understood. Good afternoon, Luna. She helped Amy a lot, so it's perfectly normal for her to help other kids, Mag thought. Luna smiled at the kids and waved her hand. Good afternoon, Mag. Then she walked over to them. She was wearing a deep green flowered dress and that white silky scarf of hers. Her smile was kind and gentle. You brought supper for the kids? Mag asked. Luna nodded. Yes, but apparently they have already got something better to eat. She took a sniff. It smells good, but I don't think I can place the smell. Is it a new dish? Mag nodded. Yes. There are 2 more. You should try it, he said, taking a box of braised chicken out of the bag. Luna waved her hand. Thank you, but I've already eaten. Her eyes swept over the kids. Where is Colin? He has been adopted. The Grey Temple has found him a family. Now he gets to eat tasty rice every day, a kid said with envy. Rice is nothing compared to this. This is my first time eating chicken, and somehow I feel so warm, another kid said happily. Luna smiled. I'm glad he's got adopted. Although these kids are so innocent and adorable, many people prefer to adopt babies. Please eat it, Teacher Luna. You always eat with us every time you come here, you couldn't have eaten, Amy implored, looking up at Luna. It's called braised chicken and rice, and I'm sure you'll like it. It's really very delicious, Teacher Luna, Jessica agreed, her face streaked by tears. Other children begged Luna to eat too. They decided it would be a shame to miss such a delicious dish. Mag smiled and handed 2 boxes to her. Please eat it, for the children. Luna hesitated for a moment as she looked at the kids' expectant faces and Mag's smile. Then she took the boxes and smiled. Thank you. Then she turned to the kids. Let's eat together. The children grinned, and went back to their food. Luna opened the lids, and a delicious smell floated out right away. It might be even more expensive than Yangzhou fried rice, Luna thought as she looked at the browned chicken. The smell made Luna's mouth water. She took a look at the kids eating happily, and then took a bite of the chicken. Her eyes widened in surprise. The soup is scrumptious, and the chicken is so tender and soft. She recognized fire chicken, but she didn't know how Mag had made the soup so delicious. Luna picked up a piece of shiitake. What's this? An aromatic smell tickled her nose. It looks like some kind of mushroom, but it smells so much better than other mushrooms. Maybe the secret of the soup lies in this. Luna put the shiitake into her mouth and bit into it. The soup came out. Meanwhile, the shiitake tasted silky, and had a chicken-like texture. After she swallowed, the delicious taste lingered in her mouth. My compliments to the chef, Luna said. Yangzhou fried rice, rujiamo, and tofu pudding, and now this braised chicken and rice. Every dish of his is so different, he's really talented. Mag smiled. Thank you. The kids finished their food in no time. All but 2 boxes were empty. A 7-year-old boy put the lids back on carefully, and asked Mag, "Can you lend me the 2 boxes, sir? I want to bring these home to my sister." "Sure. These boxes are disposable. You don't need to give them back to me." Then Mag took a box of braised chicken and a box of rice from the bag. "And take these. Don't let your sister go hungry." "But I don't want to throw them away. They're good containers." "Can I keep them, sir?" Jessica asked Mag, touching her boxes. "I want to keep them too," others echoed. They held the boxes in their arms as if they were something precious. Mag was touched by their plight. Children as they were, the worries of everyday life were already weighing down on them, they were struggling to survive. Mag smiled. "All right. You can keep them." "Thank you, sir," they cried in delight, and held the boxes over their heads as if they were prizes they had just won. "It's getting dark. I gotta go home." "Bye, Teacher Luna, Mr. and Amy," a kid said, and ran away with his boxes. The other kids said their goodbyes and left too. "Be careful. And take the major road," Luna reminded them as she watched them leave. "I have to head home too, Amy." "Mother is waiting for me," Jessica said. "Thank you for the food. I hope to see you and Ugly Duckling again soon." She flashed an innocent smile and touched the kitten's head. "How is your mother, Jessica? Is she still coughing? Did her eyes get better?" Amy asked with concern. Jessica looked a little down. "Her health has worsened," she paused for a moment, and smiled. "But she said she would get better in winter, and that she would be able to do needlework again. Then I won't need to go out in the cold to scavenge." "Her mother is sick? If she was ill in bed right now, I don't think she would survive this winter," Mag thought, frowning. Amy was in a similar situation to her. If her mother died, she'd be left alone. "Don't worry. She'll get better soon," Amy said, patting Jessica on her shoulder. Then she pulled out something from her pocket, and held it behind her back. "I have a present for you, Jessica." "Guess what it is," she said mysteriously. "A pretty stone. No heart-shaped roots." Amy shook her head again. "No." Then she pulled her hand from behind her back and revealed a yellow butterfly hairpin. "Yellow is your favorite color, right?" Jessica's eyes lit up. "Yes. It's so beautiful." She hesitated for a moment, and then shook her head. I can't take it. It will look much better on you. No. It will look better on you. Let me put it on for you. Amy stood on tiptoe and put the hairpin in her hair. It looks perfect on you, Jessica. She smiled. Really? She rolled her eyes upwards, trying to look. Yes. Luna smiled. She was touched by their friendship. Thank you, Amy. Jessica hugged her friend and touched the hairpin lightly. Mag pulled out a dragon coin, and secretly put it between the box of braised chicken and the box of rice. Mag tied up the bag and handed it to Jessica. Take this home with you. Be careful not to spill the soup. Thank you, mister. I'm sure mother will get better after eating this. I'm afraid that is not some sort of magic bullet. You must take her to a doctor. Jessica nodded. I will. She waved at them. Bye, Teacher Luna, Mr. Luna smiled. Bye, Jessica. Then she waved goodbye to Amy and left, holding a bag and 2 empty boxes. They will grow into respectable adults, Luna said as she watched Jessica's back. Mag nodded. Thanks to you. You're a good teacher. Will her mother get better, father? Amy asked, worried. Mag touched her hair with a smile. I'm sure she will. Mag and Luna took a stroll in the sunset light while Amy and the kitten played and giggled. Luna told Mag that the decimal system and the multiplication table had made quite a splash among the mathematicians in Rodu. They were trying to verify their validity. They were using the decimal system too, but only for currency. The Roth Empire mainly used the sexagesimal system, while the Elves adopted vigesimal system. They considered the decimal system too complex, so it had never got popular. But now, everything could be changed. By memorizing the times table, even a child could do multiplication easily. It used to be extremely difficult to do the multiplication of 3-digit numbers, but now they might have found a much easier way. Still, some people were more reluctant to embrace the decimal system than others. They preferred the old way, the traditional way. They were unwilling to change. Mag smiled as he listened to Luna. Luna stopped and looked at Mag solemnly. Actually, I intended to come over to your place today. My grandfather wants you to go to Rodu to explain the multiplication table. He needs your help to convince others that it's valid. Thank you, but I'm afraid I can't leave my business behind. Mag looked off to the peace statue on which perched 2 doves. It stood in the middle of the square. I was meant to become a cook. Luna looked at Mag, his hair was full of sunlight. He's a talented mathematician, but he's also a genius cook. I'm sorry for having made such a forward request. There is nothing to be sorry for. I have great admiration for your grandfather, and I'm always willing to help. He could write to me if he had any questions. The system would never allow me to leave, besides, Rodu is a dangerous place for me. Luna's eyes lit up. Thank you, Mag. I'll be sure to tell him. They strolled on. Mag thought she would ask him to help the children, but she never did, which made Mag think even more highly of her. It got darker. Luna took her leave, and Mag started back with Amy. On their way back, they passed by several magic screens being installed by some workers. Mag took a look at them, suddenly excited. They must be for the competition. I'll show them what I'm made of. Several customers were looking at the notice on the door frame. When they saw Mag and Amy, they asked if they were all right. Mag was touched by their concern. Thank you. We're okay. The criminals got arrested by the Grey Temple. The restaurant has been damaged a little, but we'll still be able to open tomorrow. I have taught them a lesson with my fireballs, said Amy. The crowd laughed. We haven't eaten, Mag, would you please make something for us to eat? We can't wait to try the new dish, a bald man said, smiling. Sorry, but the incident today was a terrible blow to me. I'm in no mood to cook right now, so please come back tomorrow, Mag said, and went into the house with Amy. The customers exchanged a look. We should be sensitive. He's going through a hard time. I heard a dozen thugs almost tore this place apart, and there was a big explosion. They didn't stop until the Grey Temple came, said a lean old man. That's horrible. We should give him time and come back tomorrow. Then the crowd dispersed. Under the tree of life in the dim cave, Irina was dressed in white, sitting cross-legged. A blue light was circling around her and the tree behind her. Fireflies were flying around her through heart-shaped leaves. She looked even prettier in their light, and the golden moon between her eyebrows seemed to be glowing. She was calm and relaxed as if she had become one with the tree. The cave was so silent one could almost hear the fireflies beating their wings. The door of the cave opened a little, and in came Firis. She ran towards the tree, calling, "Princess Irina!" The green twigs touched her, but didn't tease her like they had before. Irina's eyes stayed closed. "What happened, Bean Sprout?" she asked calmly. "Snare got hurt," Firis whispered, sad. There was a line of blood under her chin as if she had been whipped. Irina opened her eyes. The green light disappeared, and the fireflies flew away. She saw the line of blood under her chin. "Who did this to you?" Firis covered her throat nervously and lowered her head. "I'm okay, my princess." "How did he get hurt?" Irina asked. "He got attacked by some demons. His right leg was badly injured, but he will be all right. It will take some time, though. They have guts, I'll give them that. But I don't think it was demons that are responsible." Irina got up slowly. The twigs parted to let her pass. Firis looked worried as Irina walked towards the door. "My princess, my wound. I did it to myself, yeah, right." The stone door opened completely as she approached. She walked out. Her eyes swept back and forth over the woods and stopped on a big tree. "Come out." The woods were silent in the moonlight. Now and then, they could hear the ree of the crickets. Suddenly, a hole got blasted in the tree, and a shadow flew through it towards Irina. The princess raised her left hand, and then the shadow got stopped in the air immediately. It was an old she-elf. She was dressed all in black, hunchbacked, with a hooked nose like an old witch. Her eyes were wild with terror. "I know you. You're one of Helena's dogs. That old hag. Did you bite Firis?" Irina said, frowning. "How dare you insult Lady Helena?" Hetty roared in anger, glaring at Irina. She looked as if she wanted to kill her. "Oh, such a loyal dog!" Irina smiled. "You brought shame on us, you little whore. You should be crucified and die," she said through gritted teeth. "No. Princess Irina is the pride of elves," Firis cried. Irina frowned and lifted her right hand, but then stopped. Hetty had been afraid, but now she was looking at her with gloating and contempt. "Hit me if you dare. I don't want to dirty my hand." Irina pulled back her left hand too. Suddenly, a twig flew out of the cave and whipped Hetty on the face. The impact sent her flying backwards. She thumped against a tree. She spit blood and several black teeth out, her cheek swollen with a horrible line of blood. She raised her head and scowled at the princess. "People will learn of the truth, and all the elves will know you for a whore." "My conscience is clear," Irina said calmly. She looked up at the moon and raised her voice. "If anything happens to Snare again, I will kill all of her dogs. Be a good dog and tell her that." Then she walked towards the cave. Hetty looked terrified, and started shuddering despite herself. "I don't like killing dogs, but sometimes I have no choice," Irina said after she walked inside. The stone door closed slowly. The overwhelming sense of terror was too much for Hetty. Although many of her bones had been broken, she hurriedly crawled away from this dangerous cave. Amy and Ugly Duckling were lying in her crib while Mag was reading the files about elves. Can you tell me a story, father? Mag put the files down and walked over to her with a smile. Sure. Normally, he didn't have time to tell her stories, he felt he was not a good father. Do you want to listen to the story of Snow White? Amy nodded. Yes. But is Snow White made of snow? No. She's a princess with skin as white as snow, he answered, smiling. Many years ago, there lived a king and a queen. They prayed to God for a child every day. A year later, the queen gave birth to a lovely princess that had skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony. They named her Snow White. Mag told the story in a low voice, from the wicked new queen to the 7 dwarves and the poisoned apple. Amy and Ugly Duckling listened to the story attentively. They looked worried when Snow White was in danger, and relieved when she got help. In the end, the prince and Snow White lived happily together, and the wicked queen was dead. The story ended, but Amy didn't look sleepy at all. Mag touched her hair. If a stranger gave you an apple, would you eat it? He asked. Amy thought a moment. Would I be poisoned if I just took a bite? Yes. The poison would probably kill you. Such a little foodie. Then I wouldn't eat it, she said, disappointed. You won't find a wicked mother for me, right, father? Mag's heart ached. He smiled and shook his head. No, I won't. Thank you, father. Amy smiled and fell asleep. The kitten snuggled up to her and went to sleep too. I never thought about finding her a new mother. Mag tucked them in and kissed her hair. He looked for a while at her sleeping face with fond eyes, and then got back to the files. Most of the information in the files was useless, but at least he found out the elven princess had been living with the Tree of Life since 3 years ago. Maybe I can find out more information about her from Sally. I don't think she has anything to do with that incident. Maybe she is imprisoned there. Mag put the files in the safe and went to lie in his bed. What's she like? Mag wondered. I should find her for Amy. After all, she's her mother. The next morning, Mag was woken by the alarm. He turned it off and looked at Amy. She was still sleeping. Ugly Duckling was struggling to keep itself from falling off the edge of the bed. He picked it up and put it beside Amy. Meow, it cried out with gratitude. Mag washed up, brushed his teeth, and went downstairs. More dishes meant more work, but he had got stronger, and the food he ate every day was helping him build up his strength. At 6 a.m., Mag went upstairs to wake Amy up. I ate a poisoned apple. Only a kiss can save me, she whispered. Mag quickly got into character as well. I've come to save you, sweetheart. He crouched down and kissed Amy on the forehead. Amy giggled and opened her eyes. She threw her arms around his neck and kissed his cheek. You saved me, father. After breakfast, Mag packed food for Krasu and wheeled the bike out. Ugly Duckling hesitated a long while between home and the bike. It chose the bike at last. Mag didn't understand why it didn't like staying home by itself. As Mag locked the door, he took a look at Mabai's forge. It was closed, like yesterday. Weird. I hope he won't invent anything too destructive. He was a little worried about the safety of his restaurant. Mag walked into the school gate with Amy. The door of the magic room was left ajar. He knocked on the door, pushed it open, and walked in. Good morning, Amy, Krasu said as he held a flask-like glass container, in which were 3 potions of different colors, red, blue, and white. They were in the same container, but they wouldn't mix. What is that, Master Krasu? Amy asked curiously. Mag was also intrigued. The magic potion made by this old magic caster must be very powerful. Maybe it's some kind of magic barrier that can protect Amy. Prepare to have your minds blown. Krasu said, smiling enigmatically. He shook the glass container vigorously. The 3 potions swirled and intertwined with each other. Suddenly, a 3-colored rose appeared from the mouth of the container. Kraso plucked it and handed it to Amy. Do you like it? Amy smiled a big smile. Wow! That's really amazing, Master Kraso. This flower is so beautiful. Mag gave a wry smile. Apparently, he had never seen this coming. Didn't he go a little far just to impress his disciple? Did you bring braised chicken and rice and tofu pudding for me, Mag? The old man asked with anticipation. Mag nodded. Yes. He put the bag on the table. That will be 1,050 copper coins, Master Kraso, Amy said, holding out her hand. And I had a braised chicken and 2 bowls of rice and a tofu pudding this morning. That's also 1,050 copper coins. She smiled. Kraso couldn't help but smile. Okay. He and Urian might be the only 2 masters who had to pay for their disciples' everyday meals. Mag felt a little bad for the old man, but he took the money anyway. Oh, I can't bring Amy back this afternoon. You have to come pick her up at 4:30, Kraso said as he opened the bag carefully. All right. Mag stroked Amy's hair and left. When he got back, a few people were already waiting in line. They greeted him and gazed wonderingly at his bike. Mag smiled back, opened the door, walked in with Yabimiya and Sally, and closed the door again. The people outside started chatting. That beautiful elf went in as well, why? Could she be his wife? Maybe. I've never seen his wife. No. She can't be. She looks around 18, but Mag's daughter is already 4. A 300-year-old elf can look as young as her. They can live up to 800 years, don't forget. And those who can use life magic are able to stay young forever. She's a new waitress, I think. If she were his wife, she would have keys, but she was waiting outside with Yabimiya. Mag put the bike away. He took a look at the dizzy kitten, and then turned to his waitresses. It's your first day working here, Aisha. Just relax and take it slow. Try not to make too many mistakes. Do you need my help with the fire chickens? Yabimiya asked. No, I bought chicken drumsticks. You two can have some rest. She's really a good worker. Okay, she said, a little disappointed. Maybe we can dance a little, Sally suggested in a whisper. Some of the dance moves were too sexy for her, but somehow she couldn't get the dance out of her head. She had even practiced a lot by herself last night. Can we? Yabimiya asked Mag, excited. Sure. Mag took out the music box and turned it on. I may be an exploitative boss, but I let them do whatever they want when there is no work. The people outside were still chatting, but they had changed the topic. Something happened to the restaurant yesterday. What? Mag went out to find ingredients, didn't he? Yes. But in the afternoon, I heard someone attacked the restaurant, and completely leveled it. There was even a crater a dozen meters deep in the ground. Oh no! Who would have done such a frenzied thing? A golden dragon, a 10th tier demon, and a band of ferocious forest trolls, said an old man. The restaurant was gone in an instant. It was a horrifying sight. Good God! That's horrible! The people in line gasped in shock at the news. Mag and his daughter, are they all right? What happened later? They were totally intrigued. And then, believe it or not, Mag stormed out with his daughter in one arm. He fought with them using his kitchen knife. It was an epic fight, said the old man. Did he win? A girl asked, anxious. Of course. Mag is really strong. After he killed the dragon and the demon, those trolls started to flee like hell, the old man said excitedly as if he had seen everything with his own eyes. But they had no chance to escape Mag. He took them out one by one. Who would have thought that the owner of a restaurant could slay a dragon? His kitchen knife is also his weapon. I believe it's just a story you made up, Carl, a young man said, smiling. You're the storyteller at the peace statue. That's how I knew you. I like to listen to your stories, but today's story is not a true story, I'm afraid. Carl was pretty famous around here. He had started telling stories at the peace statue 10 years ago. He didn't charge money, and he told stories whenever he felt like it. He never told a story twice, and his stories were always interesting and vivid, thus, he had garnered himself many fans. Many people liked to wander around the peace statue, hoping to run into him telling a story. Stories are not necessarily true, but they need to be interesting, Carl said calmly. They laughed. One more, Carl. No, one story a day. That's my rule, said the old man. Besides, if I tell another story now, I may have no time to eat. They looked disappointed. Carl's stories could have served as a great way to kill time. The sweet tofu pudding people and the savory tofu pudding people decided it was too early to argue, they tended to do it at dinner after a strenuous day. I can't wait to see what the new dish is. I saw him come back with a fire chicken yesterday. It's probably a chicken dish. I love chicken soup. By the way, the food competition starts today. Did Mag sign up? He did, said a young demon with horns. I found his 5 dishes on the list. The new dish is called braised chicken and rice. But, he registered the sweet tofu pudding and the savory tofu pudding as 2 different dishes. Aren't they just 2 different flavors of the same dish? How can they be the same dish? The sweet tofu pudding is disgusting. No. It's the savory one that is inedible. They glowered at the demon. The air suddenly got tense. The demon lowered his head in fright. Sorry, the top 4 spots should go to Mag. And the savory tofu pudding will never make the list. I don't mind Mag taking the top 4 spots, but I'll definitely give the sweet tofu pudding 1 star. Yeah, that's what it deserves. F***CKU. I'll give the savory tofu pudding 1 star. It sounded like they were on the brink of fighting. That's not good, Mag sighed before opening the door. Their hatred towards each other may lead to my loss in the competition. Mag opened the door with a smile and welcomed them in. Yabimiya and Sally stood on either side of the door, the former smiling, and the latter expressionless. Who is this, Mag? Harrison asked as he looked at Sally, surprised. This is Aisha. Our new waitress. Harrison gave him a thumbs up. Hats off to you for finding such beautiful waitresses. This braised chicken and rice is much too expensive, a voice said, looking at the menu. Does this use roosters that can lay eggs? Some customers were not rich, they came here only once or twice a month. They could barely afford Yangzhou fried rice, but this new dish was even more expensive. 800 copper coins can buy 4 bowls of tofu pudding, a woman whispered. I secretly saved 500 copper coins, but clearly it's not enough, said a young man. It's not very expensive for me, but I'll wait and see what this is, Harrison thought, and was not in a rush to order it. The chicken was giving off a wonderful aroma, but no one was ordering it because of the price. I'd like a braised chicken and rice please, Carl said as he seated himself. Okay. Coming right up. Mag said. He smiled encouragingly at Sally, and strode into the kitchen. Don't worry. You're doing great, Yabimiya whispered to Sally, and started taking orders. You don't seem to be bothered by the price, Carl, said Jimmy, who listened to the old man's stories growing up. His family owned a little shop. Now, most people who wanted to order the new dish decided to wait and see if it was worth the money. I trust Mag. The higher the price, the better the food. He wouldn't risk losing customers, Carl said. Jimmy nodded his agreement. Still, his monthly pocket money was only a couple thousand copper coins, so he wasn't willing to spend 800 on a dish. Mag was not worried. He was only able to make 48 bowls of braised chicken in the morning, and he was convinced he could sell them all out. If they are willing to pay 600 for a Yangzhou fried rice, another 200 isn't too much to stop them. After they all sat down, some people started chatting in whispers, and others were admiring the pretty waitresses. The sweet tofu pudding guys and savory tofu pudding guys stopped arguing, they didn't want to ruin everyone's appetite. Many people ordered tofu pudding, and then waited for Carl's braised chicken and rice. "What do you think of this braised chicken, Joy?" asked Harrison. "Mag doesn't cook anything but delicious food, and I heard chicken soup is very nutritious. Miranda has a good appetite these days, maybe because of Yangzhou fried rice. I was going to buy some fire chicken for her. But, if this braised chicken has soup too, I won't need to have our cook make chicken soup. She doesn't like our cook's cooking. Your marriage is so sweet, it will give me diabetes," Harrison said, envious. By then, Yabimiya had walked out with a tray, on which were a brown earthenware bowl and a bowl of rice. The braised chicken was giving off delicious aroma as she moved between the tables. "Smells good." "Yeah, and the smell is so strong. I never made such aromatic chicken. I think I smelled something strange but intoxicating." The customers were all staring at the braised chicken on the tray. "Your braised chicken and rice. Enjoy your meal," Yabimiya said, putting the food in front of Carl. Carl's eyes were glued to the dish. The inviting smell from the brown chicken and the thick soup made him close his eyes and take a deep sniff. "It has shiitakes in it," Carl said, looking at the shiitake sticks in the bowl. The other customers looked confused. "Shiitakes? What is that?" Jimmy asked. "It's a precious ingredient," Carl said, excited. "It's divine. Many years ago, I was lucky enough to eat shiitakes in the wind forest. It was my first time, but I still remember the taste. Then I tried to buy them from Elves, and occasionally, if I was lucky, I could buy one or two. Considering the time and effort that went into buying them, I think it's safe to say that each one cost me around 100 gold coins. I use only a piece when making soup." He picked up a shiitake stick. "But the shiitakes I bought are nothing compared to this." The other customers gasped in surprise. They were wondering who this storyteller really was. Of course, what surprised them even more was that the shiitakes that Carl had been eagerly looking for were right here. They had been cut into sticks, but apparently there were more than one shiitake in the bowl. They were rare to find, and their rarity made them priceless. Carl's remarks brought a smile to Mag's lips. Never thought he would recognize the shiitake, he must be a foodie. I should have priced it higher since shiitakes are so rare in this world. "Let me try it," Carl said, and brought a piece of shiitake into his mouth while the others were gazing at him. Their mouths started watering despite themselves as they watched Carl put the shiitake into his mouth. His eyes widened after he bit into it and the tasty soup seeped out. The taste of the soup and the shiitake melded together, stimulating his taste buds. "The shiitakes have been dried, but they taste tender and soft," Carl thought to himself. "They have made the soup even better. Shiitakes and chicken are a perfect match." He savored the bite, and then swallowed. "The shiitakes I ate before can't compete with this," said Carl. "Mag is a genius. His shiitakes are definitely of high quality, and he knows the best way to cook them. If he had launched this dish sooner, I wouldn't have had to go to great lengths to look for shiitakes." He put another piece of shiitake into his mouth, took a bite of rice, and chewed slowly with a blissful smile. Now the sound of swallowing saliva could be heard in the room. They knew Carl wasn't collaborating with Mag to rip them off, because he was rich. People enjoyed his stories, and they gave him money every time he told a story, but he asked them to take their money back. When they didn't, he always gave the money to those homeless kids. Of course he was rich, otherwise, he wouldn't have spent a gold coins on a shiitake. "Excuse me, I'd like a braised chicken and rice." "Me too." "Same here." Mag smiled. His food was selling itself. As more bowls of chicken were set on the tables, the aroma became even stronger, which was enticing more people to order this dish. The braised chicken takes a long time to cook, sir. You'll have to wait half an hour, Yabimiya said to a customer with her kind smile. Waiting half an hour for a gourmet dish? That sounds good enough to me. The customer laughed. Can I have a braised chicken and rice to go? Jaoi asked Yabimiya. He had almost finished his braised chicken. There wasn't much soup in the dish, but he was confident his wife would like it, and he liked the warm feeling inside after eating it. I need to check with my boss first, Yabimiya said. One person can have up to one braised chicken and rice to go, Mag said in the kitchen door, smiling at Joy. I hope your wife will like it. He knew Joy had 3 sons and that his wife was in the 6th month of her pregnancy. Thank you, Mag. I'm sure she will, Joy said gratefully. Miranda had been suffering from loss of appetite and vomiting until Mag's Yongzhou fried rice, but her appetite had come back with a vengeance, and she didn't feel feeble anymore. Even the doctor had been surprised at her rapid recovery, and had told her the baby was healthy. Mag had basically saved them. Mag started cooking again. Joy's boy and Amy are classmates, if not friends. I'm glad I could help. Check, please, said a demon. That's 10 gold coins. Sally sounded indifferent. Why don't you smile? Yabimiya always smiles her kind and warm smile. Come on, smile for me, said the other demon who looked hideous. There you go, 10 gold coins, said the first demon hurriedly. He pulled his friend up and dragged him towards the door, whispering, What were you doing harassing her? Are you out of your mind? I didn't harass her. I was just talking to her. Yet. You were talking to her with a lascivious smile. You smile is lascivious. The purple light around Sally's hand disappeared. She looked at their backs and picked up the coins on the table. Suddenly, a thought occurred to her. Hold on a second, she shouted. The other customers looked confused. They thought the 2 demons had somehow irritated her. The 2 demons exchanged a worried look. They turned around, and the hideous-looking demon said, I apologize. I should have never asked you to smile. Please don't ban us, I need you to fill this out, Sally said, pulling out a ballot from under the tray. Oh, the 2 demons suddenly understood. This food competition was already a few dozen years old. It was a monthly event, and people living here were more than familiar with it. Today was the first day of the competition. Okay, they said. They were glad they didn't get banned. They each took a ballot and sat back down at their table. Mag signed up for the competition, a man said. I want him to win, but if he won, this place would become even more popular, and we would have to wait longer in line, said a second voice. Yet. It would be terrible if he told us he had sold out after we waited a long time. Sally was standing at the table, watching as the 2 demons sat straight with pens in their hands like students. The 5 dishes and their prices had already been written beautifully on each ballot. Customers needed only tick the dishes they had ordered. The rankings were based on 4 elements: overall impression, taste, environment, service. They could grade on a scale from 1 star to 5 stars, with 1 star being not at all satisfied, and 5 stars being extremely satisfied. They could even leave comments in the comment section. Overall impression, 5 stars, taste, 5 stars, environment, 5 stars, service. The 2 demons looked up at Sally and raised their voices. 5 stars. After they wrote the food here is really very good in the comment section, they put down their pens and smiled at Sally. Will this be enough? Sally nodded. Yes. Then we can leave now. Sure. The 2 demons were much relieved. They strode towards the door and didn't allow themselves to relax until they were outside. That waitress is scary, said the hideous-looking demon. It's your own damn fault. Let's go find some quests to do, his friend said. Her service isn't worth 5 stars. Go ahead and change it to 3 or 2 if you want. The other demon looked back at the restaurant. Do you take me for a fool? Sally cleared the table, and then used her water magic to clean it. The customers nearby were left dumbfounded. Even waitresses are so powerful nowadays? They wondered. Study harder, or you won't even find a job as a waiter, a father warned his son. The little boy nodded obediently. Yes, father. He was more determined to become a model student now. Sally's eyes swept around the room, and all the customers quickly dropped their gazes to their food. Why do I get the feeling that they are afraid of me? Sally wondered. I'm still not kind enough? Normally, she rarely spoke to men, but today she was trying really hard to be friendly to them. Yabimiya smiled encouragingly at her and gave her a thumbs up as she walked past her with 2 bowls of braised chicken. Sally smiled back and felt confident suddenly. She quickened her pace and put the dishes in the dishwasher. She had already learned how to use this magical machine. Actually, she had offered to wash the dishes with her magic, but Mag didn't want her to use too much of her magic power. You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work, Mag said to Sally with a smile. I won't force her to smile as long as she doesn't make the customers feel uncomfortable. Sally nodded. Thank you, boss. She worked faster. When she heard someone calling out for the check, she walked out quickly. With Sally working here, Yabimiya didn't have to rush around anymore, she was able to give everyone a warm morning smile. Sally, on the other hand, made them feel cool. They filled out the ballots as she asked. 5 stars for all the dishes but sweet tofu pudding. It's totally disgusting, a customer said, and gave the sweet tofu pudding 1 star. Oh yeah? I'll give the savory tofu pudding 1 star, said a second voice. You can do whatever you like, but we'll win in the end. No, we will win. Sally stood uncertain, not knowing what to do. Mag had told them about the competition, and she was afraid that their doing so might result in him losing. Let them do whatever they want, Mag whispered to her. He was smiling on the outside, but on the inside, he was cursing these morons. Thankfully, the mission was having 1 dish in the top 30. Rugiamo was the most commonly ordered in his restaurant, and he was confident it could make the top 30. Sally nodded, relieved, and went back to her work. We're finally here, Chaos City. I heard it's the safest city. Do you think they will follow us here, Lulu? Also, I heard there's a lot of good food here, a brown-haired girl in her early 20s asked as she had her arm around a man's waist at the entrance of the Aiden Square. The girl was very pretty, with beautifully arched eyebrows. She had tied her brown curly hair up with a black piece of cloth. Her dress was long and white, with grass patterns on the waist and sleeves. She was looking up at the man beside her, smiling, her light golden eyes full of love. Lulu looked around 30, and was a head taller than her, his face square and kind, his hair brownish black and short. He was wearing a brown bearskin shirt, and looked as strong as a bear. He carried a beautiful bamboo basket on his back. It was quite full, but it was difficult to tell what was inside it. His eyes were the same color as hers. He looked fondly at her as he brushed a lock of hair from her forehead. It may be a safe city, Zixi, but I don't think it's safe for us. They will probably follow us here. We should never let our guard down. Zixi looked depressed. Why won't they leave us alone? Don't worry. Go eat whatever you like. I'll always stay by your side, he said, touching her head with his big clumsy hand, his eyes full of love. Zixi's face lit up. I know you will. Let's go get something to eat. She rubbed her head against his hand, and walked into the Aiden Square. Lulu looked around warily, his face suddenly grim, and then walked behind her. Excuse me, could you bring me the check, please? Carl said, putting down his spoon. He had eaten every bite of his braised chicken and rice. He burped, satisfied. That will be 8 gold coins, said Sally. There you go. He pulled out a dragon coin and paid his check. Then, he walked over to the kitchen door. Can you tell me where you got so many shiitakes, Mag? I'm sorry, I can't. If I told him and the elves found out, they would kill me. Don't worry. I won't steal your customers. I really can't tell you. Sorry. Okay. But, this braised chicken is really good, and well worth the price. I counted 4 or 5 shiitakes in it. Thank you. Mag got back to cooking, feeling good as he listened to them commending the food. All 48 bowls of braised chicken had been ordered in a short time, even if some had to wait for an hour. After breakfast hours were over, Mag shook his tired wrists. Although his physical strength had improved, doing so much work in an hour and a half was exhausting. He felt like Superman. Also, Sally had got better at collecting money. The customers had come to like her indifference. After meticulous observation, Mag found that some people even loved her cold manner. They were masochists, in other words. Of course, most people were normal, they liked her keeping her distance and her elegance. The restaurant was running more smoothly with Sally working here. Mag didn't plan on hiring many waitresses. Too many waitresses would make things too noisy, he thought. But we will get even busier, I hope the 2 girls can handle the work. Sally cleaned the whole restaurant with her water magic, told Mag she would be back before lunch, and left. She is working hard, Mag thought. She could easily make much more money by doing quests, but the Chaos Guild would probably find out who she really is. Poor girl. Go get some rest, Mia, Mag said, untying his apron. Now that Sally was here, Yabimiya needed not worry about the cleaning work, so she had nothing to do after opening hours were over. I'm not tired. Let me massage your shoulders. Mag nodded. Thank you. It's not nice to turn her down, besides, my shoulders and arms are really sore. Before the magic screens in the middle of the square, some people from the Catering Association were sorting and counting ballots. The rankings were updated every day. Now, the screens were displaying last month's rankings. If there were no dark horses, the rankings wouldn't need to be changed much, which would reduce the staff's workload. Where do you think the last restaurant we went to yesterday will rank tomorrow? Arvin whispered as he moved tables with Rude. 341 restaurants entered the competition this month, so it will probably rank 340, Rude smiled. Not 341. A restaurant which doesn't open yet also signed up, remember? The owner said it was for advertisement. That one may rank last, I think. Rude laughed. Maybe they'll both rank last, said Arvin, laughing. There were 5 tables in front of the magic screens, and each had a ballot box. The staff wearing red vests were counting ballots. They were also checking each and every ballot with crystal balls. If the crystal ball glowed green, the ballot was valid, if it glowed red, the ballot was invalid. Hey, guys, check out this restaurant, said a short-haired young member of the staff. Its dishes are so expensive. Tofu pudding, 200 copper coins, rujiamo, 300, Yangzhou fried rice, 600, braised chicken and rice, 800. This customer ate 1,000 copper coins worth of food for breakfast. Can you believe that? Rude and Arvin were shocked. His waitress snuck this ballot in the box, probably, Arvin sneered. No one would spend 1,000 on breakfast in that remote restaurant. Each person can vote once every day, so maybe he'll get 10 ballots. I thought only large restaurants would hire people to vote, Rude said, angry. Customers' total expense on each dish is an important factor in the competition, and his dishes are all overpriced. More and more customers are questioning the fairness of this event. If you ask me, we should make some changes. Keep it down. We shouldn't talk about things like that, Arvin whispered nervously, looking around. Although the Catering Association is a governmental agency, the member restaurants in the Chamber of Commerce are giving us a lot of money every month. We should stay on their good side. I know. Rude sighed. I've been working here for over 20 years. The competition was never like this back in the day, and the top-ranking restaurants used to live up to their rankings. But, everything has changed after the Moreton family took over the chamber. We're just pawns in their games now. I've got one from that Mamie restaurant to 1,300 copper coins, another staff member said. Rude and Arwen were angry as well as surprised. 3 here 500 copper coins, 1,000 copper coins, and 1,100 copper coins. I got 200 copper coins. I found another 2. As far as they were concerned, this was not normal, not for a small restaurant. Even the famous Dukas restaurant couldn't do this well at breakfast time. The staff started discussing. Isn't it the first time this restaurant entered the competition? Could it be a dark horse? Judging from these ballots, 800 copper coins worth of food isn't enough to make them feel full. That's the shocking thing here. The prices must be wrong. But the prices are the same as the registered prices here, a staff member said, pointing at the record in the notebook. They fell silent, and looked to the lean middle-aged man. What do we do, Deputy President? A staff member asked. Let's not jump to conclusions just yet, said Robert. If those ballots can pass the test of the crystal ball, they are valid. I'll go check this restaurant myself. If they play dirty, we'll ban them from this competition forever. Deputy President just got transferred here from the castle of Chaos City, Rude said to Arwen. He wants to make this competition thing right, but he's alone and helpless. He is even willing to come out here and do everything himself. If we'd had more officials like him, the Catering Association wouldn't have ended up like this. There is something wrong about that restaurant, and Deputy President will find out what. Arwen said, clenching his fist. The staff got back to work. In total, there are 320 ballots from that restaurant, Deputy President. Also, the total number comes to 150,400 copper coins, said an old accountant who had 30 years' experience. The staff all looked angry and shocked. They had never known a restaurant in the Aden Square to make this much during breakfast time every day. Besides, this restaurant wasn't even famous enough for them to know. They are cheating, a staff member said. We should ban it, Deputy President. You don't need to go there to check it, said another person. Robert also looked astonished. No. Give me the files on this restaurant. Judging by its morning sales alone, it will easily make it into top 100. If it could do this well at lunch and dinner, it would probably enter the top 50. The old accountant handed the files to Robert. We have confirmation that this restaurant has been open for less than a month. Robert read the files, which were not very detailed, and then frowned. If I can't ensure the fairness of the competition, the Catering Association will lose its credibility. Mag was worrying about his ranking, and the fact that sweet tofu pudding people and savory tofu pudding people were giving 1 star to their undesirable flavor was not helping. I'm home, Father. I learned a new spell today. Amy said. She sounded very excited. What did you learn? Mag asked after he opened the door and let her in. It must be powerful, for Lord Krasu is powerful, Yabimiya said with a smile as she walked out of the kitchen, holding a tray of food. Sally was curious. Amy is very talented, just like Irina, and the latter has already become one of the most powerful magic casters on this continent. Master Krasu said it's called Wind Fire Wheels. But, I haven't mastered the spell yet. Amy smiled. Mag was surprised. Wind Fire Wheels. Nezawan had Wind Fire Wheels. How did Krasu come up with this name? Amy nodded, excited. Yes. Let me show you, Father. It's very interesting. Okay. Mag wanted to see if her wind-fire wheels were different from Neza's. You should back off a little just in case, Amy warned. She then chanted the spell. Wind-fire wheels. 2 flames appeared under her feet suddenly as if they were flamethrowers. Amy was floating in the air now, about a dozen centimeters from the floor. Mag's eyes went wide. How? And she learned that in such a short time. Talk about a genius. She will master this magic in no time. Impressive. Amy is flying. Yabimiya exclaimed in astonishment. So this is Krasua's magic. Amazing. Sally thought, surprised. It's very difficult to release a steady amount of magic power. That's why there are only a few melee magic casters. Meow, meow. Ugly Duckling was running around Amy excitedly. It didn't get too close, though, because of the fire. I'm landing now, Amy said after floating for about 30 seconds. The flames disappeared, and she landed on the floor. How did I do, father? She asked. Your magic is absolutely stunning. And you learned that in such a short time. I'm so proud of you. Mag said, and touched her hair. He was surprised at her progress. At this rate, she'll be much stronger than me. Shame on me. Go wash your hands. Your lunch is ready. Braised chicken and rice and tofu pudding, said Mag. Amy nodded. Yes, father. She picked the kitten up, said hello to Yabimiya and Sally, and walked into the kitchen. I think I'll eat after they come in, father. This way, they'll know how tasty braised chicken and rice is, Amy said after washing her hands. Okay. Have a bowl of tofu pudding, then. Mag put the kitten's food on the floor. She enjoys teasing the customers by eating while they watch on empty bellies. Amy nodded, and climbed into the chair. Then she looked down at Ugly Duckling, who was about to eat. Do not eat too much. You gained weight again. The kitten nodded. Meow, meow. It started eating its sweet tofu pudding happily, already forgetting Amy's words. Let's eat, Mag said to his 2 waitresses, and sat down to eat. Yabimiya took a bite of Rujiamo, and her tail came out again, wagging back and forth. She didn't feel uncomfortable showing it anymore. Sally was eating Yongzhou fried rice slowly. She didn't eat braised chicken, perhaps because there was too much meat in it. Its price was another reason, of course. If she wanted to have braised chicken for lunch, she would have to eat a tofu pudding for breakfast and a tofu pudding for dinner. Outside the restaurant, the 2 lines had extended into the square. They were strangely quiet, though. Yet, there was suffocating tension in the air. Krasua didn't understand. My lord, those savory tofu pudding guys gave the sweet tofu pudding 1 star, at this rate, it will never make it onto the list, a young man said angrily behind Krasu. What? Krasu knew about the food competition, and he saw the magic screens on his way here. Then what did you do in return? The old man asked. We returned the favor, and gave the savory tofu pudding 1 star, answered the young man. Krasu nodded. Good. He turned to Urian. The savory tofu pudding deserves 1 star, he sneered. Urian gave a cold smile. We'll just have to wait and see who wins in the end. Look, Lulu. So many people are waiting there. That's definitely a good restaurant. Let's go. Zixi said, holding a green onion bing in her hand. But we've been eating the whole morning, Lulu said, giving a wry smile. He was also holding several kinds of food. But I'm still hungry. Please, she begged in a soft voice. All right. I'm also a little hungry. Let's go. Lulu looked at her with loving eyes, took her by the hand, and walked towards the restaurant. At the west gate of Chaos City, 6 hunter-like men were entering the city with their horses. They were carrying crossbows and bows. They came here, boss, a young man asked the man with whiskers. I think so. Their tracks lead us here. Besides, that white cat is a glutton, she would definitely try to find something to eat here. That stupid bear follows her every word. We'll find them in one of the restaurants. His voice was deep and hoarse, his eyes brown and somewhat red. I heard the laws are strict here, boss. Won't we get caught? Asked another man. If we do it quickly, nobody can catch us. We don't need them alive. Their boss grinned, revealing his sharp, yellow teeth. His men gave a cruel smile. They are the last two. After we kill them, the curse on us should be broken, said one of his men. The restaurant is right over there, Deputy President, Rude said, pointing. He had volunteered to lead his boss here. But, when he saw the two long lines, he was shocked. Robert was also taken aback. So many people are waiting in front of this restaurant? This normally happens only if there is a sales promotion, or in front of top-ranking restaurants during rush dinner hours. They must have known that we're coming. That's why he hired these people to deceive us, Rude said angrily. Look at them. They're too quiet to be customers. Robert shook his head. I don't think so. He strode towards the lines, walked up to Brandley, and bowed slightly. Lord Brandley, are you here for lunch? Oh, hi, Robert, Brandley said, surprised. Yes. I heard a new dish came out today, so here I am. Rude was dumbfounded. Such a high-ranking official is also waiting in line? He didn't know Brandley, but he recognized the emblem on his robe. By then, Robert's suspicion had been dispelled since he knew Brandley as an honorable magic caster. Besides, most of the people waiting here were so well-dressed it was hard to believe they had been hired by the owner here. The food here is really that good? He asked Brandley. Brandley smiled. Why don't you try it yourself? Join the line before it's too late. Robert nodded. If you're waiting here, then it must be good. He went to wait in line. Rude was shocked. He walked over to his boss. Deputy President, you stand behind me, Rude, Robert interrupted. We'll try the food here ourselves. Yes, boss. Rude did as he said. He really respected Robert for his dedication to his work. But, Rude was still in denial. He must have pulled some strings to get such a high-ranking official here. Excuse me, why are there two lines? Robert asked the young man in front of him. He had also sensed the tension between the two lines. This is your first time here, right? Jimmy said. They have a dish called tofu pudding, which comes in two flavors. The savory one is unbelievable, but the sweet one is practically inedible. He was taking it upon himself to promote the savory tofu pudding. No, said an old man at the end of the sweet line. The sweet one is divine, it's the savory one that is disgusting. You should wait in this line here. They started the argument again. You'll stop giving the savory tofu pudding 1 star if you know what's good for you. Like hell we are. Robert was surprised by their obsession with this dish. Maybe I should try both the flavors. Rude was dumbfounded. He had never seen customers arguing over different flavors of one dish. Lulu, you chose savory tofu pudding over me. Don't you love me anymore? Zixi asked, disappointed. The two lines suddenly fell silent. Although they were angry, they were never going to fight until their two leaders at the head said so. Now that they thought the two lovebirds were having a disagreement, they all stopped arguing, and started gazing at them. They looked like the Beauty and the Beast. The girl was small, while the man was big, his arms were as thick as her legs. Of course I love you, but I don't like sweet stuff, said Lulu with a smile. Love me, love my dog, Zixi said with a sad look. He doesn't deserve you, girl. Ditch him, said an old man. He loves savory tofu pudding. How good can he be? A man should always do as his girl says. No, young man, don't listen to them. There are plenty of fish in the sea. You can find one who's not so childish. yet. Remember, you're a savory tofu pudding guy. Ditch her, and I'll set you up with my granddaughter. In fact, they didn't care if he ditched her or if she ditched him. They were just trying to spice up their disagreement. They thought the big man would never risk losing face by submitting to his girl's demand. Yet Lulu walked over to Zixi and put his hand on her head. I'm sorry that I made you sad. I'll eat the sweet one for you. Zixi's eyes lit up. I love you, she said, looking up at Lulu. I love you too, Lulu replied. The other customers were surprised by this turn of events. Their love is so sweet, it will give me cavities, a young man said as Lulu went to wait in the sweet line. Oh, this is true love. I hope I can find my one and only someday, a girl exclaimed. Zixi followed him to the end of the line. Lulu was surprised to see his girl when he turned around. What are you doing? He asked, smiling. I want to be with you, Zixi said as she looked up at him. The others watched with surprise. Then you stand in front of me, said Lulu. When did you fall in love with me, Lulu? Lulu shook his head. I don't remember. When I realized I don't want to see you with any boy or girl, I knew I have fallen head over heels for you. Zixi giggled happily. Now the others watched with envy. Thankfully, the restaurant had opened by then, so they quickly headed in. Let's go, Zixi. But, I'm not sure if there are still seats available, said Lulu. Robert was surprised when he walked in. It's not very big, but the tables, the chairs, the paintings, the chandeliers. Everything about this place is so beautiful and relaxing. The environment deserves 5 stars. I'm sorry. We don't have any vacant seats right now. Would you rather wait or order Rugiamo to go? Yabimiya asked Robert. Robert smiled back. I'll wait. Yabimiya nodded. Okay. I'll give the service 5 stars too, Robert thought to himself. She keeps her distance from the customers, and her smile is so warm. If the food can match the atmosphere here, it may prove to be a dark horse, Robert thought, looking to the kitchen with quite some expectation. Wonderful smells were floating in the air. They saw Amy sitting there with a braised chicken and rice in front of her. Smells good, Robert thought. He noticed the earthenware bowl before the silver-haired half-elf girl. What is that? Now, everyone was gazing at Amy and her food, craning their necks trying to get a better look at whatever was giving off such a tempting smell. Amy picked up her chopsticks, put a piece of brown chicken into her mouth, and started chewing happily. There was a trace of soup on her lips. After she swallowed, she licked her lips with a delighted smile. Everyone's mouth started watering. It's very good, Amy whispered. Then she ate a piece of shiitake. She added some soup into the rice and took a bite, swinging her body side to side. Some customers couldn't resist their urges anymore. Oh, look at her. That food she's eating must be really good. Excuse me, I'd like a braised chicken and rice, please. I only have 8 gold coins on me, it seems I can't eat tofu pudding today. I'll have a braised chicken and rice. He's having her eat here on purpose. A smart move, Robert thought as he looked at Mag. Maybe I'll have a braised chicken and rice too. She doesn't like the food, she's just faking it. Rude told himself, but he couldn't tear his eyes away from the braised chicken. He continued swallowing saliva. She's so cute. I want to have a lot of babies, Lulu, Zixi said, turning to face him. Okay. I'll make money to provide for our big family, Lulu replied, but there was something sad in his smile. Zixi smiled. We'll have to find a place where they can't find us. Then she looked at Amy again and touched her stomach. I'm hungry, Lulu smiled at her lovingly. Let's order something for you to eat. Zixi nodded happily. Excuse me, can I have the food that little girl is eating? Lulu said to Yabimiya. Yabimiya shook her head with a smile. I'm afraid you'll have to wait. You can order braised chicken after you're seated. Thank you. It won't sell out by then, right? Zixi asked. No, it won't, answered Yabimiya. Thanks to Amy, some people had ordered braised chicken, but most customers couldn't afford it. Thank you, said Zixi, smiling. Yabimiya found herself envious of their love for each other. I don't think anyone will ever love me. She cleared her mind of such thoughts and got back to work. More strong and distinctive smells came out as Mag cooked. The customers waiting got hungrier by the minute. They argued outside, but once inside, nobody speaks loudly, Robert thought. Then he turned his eyes on Harrison, whose fat was shaking wildly. He isn't faking that, he's really enjoying his food. No, everybody is enjoying their food. It's unbelievable. Now, Robert considered it completely normal for Mamie Restaurant to have over 300 customers in the morning and earn 150,000 copper coins. This restaurant may dominate the food competition. No. The food is terrible, the customers are all hired by the owner, Rude thought as he stared at the Rugiamo in a man's hand, his mouth was still watering. Most of the customers were very considerate, they finished their food quickly to let the people waiting have seats. When Robert sat down, he picked up the menu. It's so smooth and soft. And he put such a fabulous menu on each and every table. He looked at the menu for a moment, and then handed it to Rude, who was sitting opposite him. It's my treat. Order anything you want, Rude. Thank you, Deputy President, Rude said. He was just a lowly worker, his monthly salary was only 4,000 copper coins. We'll put their food to the test, said Robert. He could tell that Rude was still harboring some doubts. I'll have a Rugiamo, then, Rude said after hesitating a while.